Hello and welcome to Trellis Studio. My name is Sarah Golden. I am VP of Climate Tech at Trellis Group, and I'm excited to be speaking today with Annabelle Stamm, who is the Managing Director of North America at Anthesis. Annabelle, it is a pleasure to have you in Trellis Studio.
Thank you, Sarah. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me on.
So to start out, I know many companies have these very ambitious targets for their Scope 3 emissions, and many of them are set to deadlines that are quickly approaching in 2030. And I'm seeing increasingly companies are struggling to achieve these targets. Can you tell us why this is such a difficult nut to crack?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Over the past decade, we've seen a number of companies putting out ambitious targets around science-based targets or sustainability targets within their value chain, many of which have near-term deadlines of 2025. And we're already seeing a number of companies coming out and saying that they're not going to be able to meet that target and adjusting. And I think that's something that we expect to see a lot more of. And it's not through lack of trying. Supply chains by nature are incredibly complex and global. And also the influence that buyers can have over their suppliers can tend to be pretty limited. We also see just challenges around who's going to absorb that cost. If a buyer is putting pressure on a supplier to enact a sustainable solution to help them decarbonize, for example, is the buyer going to absorb that cost and pay a premium, or are they expecting the supplier to take that on and impact their margins? So it becomes very challenging. What we have seen is a number of leading companies have embarked on supply chain engagement programs, where they're taking a subset of their suppliers and engaging them and providing tools, solutions, resources to try and help them to decarbonize or influence the change that they're looking to. And while we've seen progress, the progress is incredibly slow because it is very difficult to achieve impact as the individual. And also there just isn't the accessibility or the scalability of the solutions that are needed.
Yeah, what you're outlining there, there's just so many players that need to act and so many levers that need to be pulled that are dependent on other people. So tell us where Anthesis fits into this. How are you supporting companies to achieve their Scope 3 targets?
I'm really excited to talk with you about this today because while we see this challenge happening at the individual level, the ability and the opportunity to bring together a collective force to enact change is really exciting. So we've launched the Industry Pivot Fund Collective. What that collective is multiple. It is a coalition, it is a fund, and it is also an adoption accelerator center that is really united around this North Star of creating sustainable solutions. So the goal of this collective is really to identify the technologies and solutions that will drive the change and make them affordable, available, and simple to adopt. What's really exciting, I feel, about this initiative is that it's bringing together a collective pool of companies to jointly invest in these technologies that are going to drive impact, but really interestingly also generate a potential positive return on investment. So what it's doing, it is turning these, for what has otherwise been seen as a cost or a burden to the company or the supplier, and actually turning it into something that can have potential positive, great returns on investment.
Let's get specific. Can you give me an example, like a tangible example of some work you've been doing with the company on a Scope 3 target?
Yeah, absolutely. So one that we launched recently is around the cosmetics and personal care space. So we've been working closely with a group of leading cosmetics players. So the first thing that we did is we formed this coalition, and then we looked at it and we worked with them to identify, where are there these common gnarly challenges that are very difficult for the individual organization to influence by themselves, but also is in this pre-competitive space as well. So for cosmetics, we've identified packaging as being one of the biggest shared Scope 3 challenges. So once that was identified, we've then worked with our experts to map the industry's value chain and really identify where there are these systemic barriers and what the keys are to unlocking those barriers. So we've now identified a number of these, and the collective is jointly going to be investing in things such as innovative materials that will reduce the organization's dependency on things like virgin plastics. We're also looking at circular systems. So how can we create a reuse infrastructure and a truly closed loop cycle? And also really interesting things around AI and how AI can support with waste management and enable the recycling of small format plastics and increase the availability of recycled materials to some of these companies. So our dedicated Adoption Acceleration Center, which consists of packaging experts, industry veterans, and venture partners, are working to help identify identify and vet where there are these relevant ventures and solutions. We're then working with those ventures to get them ready to work with blue chip organizations. And we're similarly working with the organizations to get them ready to adopt those new technologies by working with procurement teams and also with their product management team. So I think this is incredibly exciting. The collective remains open for new members to join, and it's really there to inspire the cosmetics industry and also other industries to follow suit. And as I mentioned before, I think what's so exciting about this initiative is not only will it drive the impact returns and accelerate the achievement of companies' impact targets, but it can also create these financial returns, moving these things away from being a cost and towards positive return on investment, as well as operational cost savings.
Well, Annabelle Stamm, thank you so much for taking on this complex work. That really does sound like a lot. And thank you for everything that Anthesis is doing to help move forward targets with Scope 3. Once again, I'm Sarah Golden for Trellis Group. Thank you for joining.